Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the highly anticipated Love is Blind Season 6 reunion. I'm very excited to have a guest joining me today to talk about it. Miss Makenzie, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to chat about this. We did a little bit of a live watch party with it yesterday, and then we kind of explored the end of the show on our own. We're back now to talk about the show and kind of break down some drama, some crazy moments, and maybe some kind of lackluster moments, I think, as well. Some definitely a lot of conversations happening around all of social media today about everything that went down, and I can't wait to get some of your thoughts on some of the things that went down. But going into the finale, 1 to 10, how excited were you heading into this reunion?
Oh, I was so excited. I mean, if not just because of like what went on, on camera, but just like having to finally like have everyone address all the drama outside of like everything was I couldn't have been more pumped.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I was very excited to see where they would go with a few different storylines. There's lots of things that kind of left a lot for you to chew on because I don't feel like we got all of the answers we were searching for, and we'll touch on that throughout the show. But obviously, we spent a this was about an hour. I think it was like almost 93, 94 minutes or something like that was the entire reunion. And the first 30, well, I'm sorry, the first 3 or 4 minutes was spent on Johnny and Amy, which was a small amount of time. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but we came out guns a-blazing with Laura and Jeremy and Sarah Ann. This was explosive and it got ugly really fast. When we see Jeremy and Laura, we got the million jokes about the location thing, which I think like we beat that dead horse 1,000 times now. But I was initially impressed with Jeremy not being what we've seen Jeremy be on social media. However, as things kind of got more pressing with Lara, he got a little bit more crazy. But then we saw Sarah Ann come out, which they confirmed their relationship. What was your thoughts about the interaction between Sarah Ann and Lara, which is really where it got more heated than it did even with Jeremy?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts because so many. So, first off, like when it comes to the relationship between Jarame and Sarah Ann, like I can see, I can be a little nuanced about it because I get it. Like they fell in love with multiple people, they were all dating each other. There can be some confusion. I mean, they're only getting to know each other for like, what is it, a week or whatever until they like see each other face to face. So I can see there being like a little bit of like, oh shoot, maybe I did make the wrong decision. So it's like not even that I like necessarily blame Sarah Ann for like doing what she did. It's just the disrespectful way she went about it. And so like I am definitely like team Laura in this situation, like 100%. I like do think like it's very odd that like none of the girls want to be her friend, but like she still follows all the dudes on social media. Like I find that very telling of like, you know, a little bit about or like her character. And so yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was funny when she's like, I was like excluded from the group chat. Now, like, nah, woman, like we, like
"N-
we,
You blocked us."
yeah.
Like
And you're right, because this brings up a perfect case and example. Zach and Irina got engaged in the pods. Obviously, Bliss comes in the picture a little bit later, but like Zach didn't like that whole situation. Like Bliss wasn't chasing Zach when that whole situation. Like they had a strong connection, almost got engaged, but he got engaged. Irina, he maybe you realize he made a bad choice. So if it's something tactful like that, Zach and Irina just realized it wasn't working because they weren't compatible. Instead, you have these two, which of course we got the story about the 5:30 in the morning. And the thing about it is I lean on the side of believing them that nothing happened. I do think that nothing happened. Now, I know you're giving me
I
a look here.
agree to disagree.
Okay, all right. I I think, I mean, I would, it's funny to like, I was gonna say like I would think better of them, but also at the same time they were out till five. It's hard. Like I would like to think that nothing happened, but I could see why everybody, what do you do until 5:30? Like I get, all right, maybe I take back.
And also
Um
it's not like they're like known for telling the truth. Like
yeah,
they it's not like they've established a pattern of like being honest. So
true.
I tend to yeah, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, and my thing, but on top of that though, Sarah Ann gets very loud and very aggressive. Like, could you imagine if Laura was actually there? Like, I think we might have actually had some blows. Like, we might have had to like break them apart on the stage.
Yeah, and that's the thing again, like and we'll get into it more like with other people, but like people just like came in hot and just like or unprepared or just like if they would have come in a different way. And this and Laura already said this. She said if you would have come in like at least with some type of humility, like it probably would have like they would have resolved it and like got like they would have been cool. But because she came in like guns blazing, like everyone was it just like turned everybody off.
Yeah, it was her approach. Like it was I've got to be louder than you. I've got to, all of these things kept on piling on top of each other, and it just kind of made you not like her even more than she already put herself in the box. Like I don't, like that's the thing. I don't care that Sarah and Jeremy are together. I don't care. That's good for them. Like that's awesome. Like great. But there's a way you could have done it to not look like total asshats in the process.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe what they were kind of accusing them of, like, being more like just about like the entertainment aspect and not so much like really being themselves. I mean, maybe there's some truth to that.
I do have a question though. I don't feel like this is being talked about enough on the intranet today, on any social media. But when Chelsea said that she ran into Jeremy in public, he had talked about him and Sarah Ann being broken up. Her reaction was not like, I would love to know like the conversation those two had back in like the hotel room that night, because you know damn well she probably went off about that.
Mm, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Like, crazy theory, probably not true, but like maybe they were just kind of like staying together for they knew they had a reunion coming up and they had a point to prove. And I'm just very interested to see like how long it actually lasts. I mean, sure, yeah, apparently they live together, but like I have some healthy skepticism about the authenticity of this relationship.
Yeah, like let's talk in 6 months when they do like what is it, the after the altar thing. Let's find out if they're still together, then maybe I'll believe we're in the conversation of actually, but I don't disagree with you. I don't foresee these two lasting. Um, there's the next situation that happened. First off, I found it very odd that we had a Trevor countdown. That was very weird to begin with. Like when the show started, it was like, oh, 29 minutes and 50 some seconds until Trevor hits the stage or whatever. I have feelings about this moment, and I've gotten in several conversations about Trevor being on stage. Now, let me prefix by saying this first, and I have to say this first because it just gets it out of the way. I do not condone anything Trevor has done. I don't agree with anything that he's done. And do I believe that he should face the music for his actions? Absolutely. And anything that has come out, some of the stuff that is he said she said, you can't really for sure be for, but if any of those allegations are true as well, then it's even worse for Trevor because it does look bad. However, I had a problem with how they handled this situation. Okay, they brought him on the stage, and not only do we talk about the text messages, which I have no problem with, the reading of the text messages I felt like was slightly overboard. I felt like you're confronting him, which is fine, Now, I will say this. Now, this comes from our favorite person we were just talking about. But when Jeremy said live, and I have backed this up with a second person that was at the reunion. So it's not just Jeremy's word. I have somebody, I can't reveal my source, but he had said in the moment, we know, Nick had said, we know you asked to leave, you can leave now. Now, Jeremy said, correct. When he was on stage, he was clearly shook. Also, before the texts were shown, he said out loud he was not mentally able to handle it at the moment. Instead of letting him go at that time, he had to sit through that entire thing, except for they edited that completely thing out of the reunion. So before they even started reading the text messages off, he had already kind of proclaimed, like, hey, I'm like not mentally like okay to handle this moment. Now, let me explain before we go any further. I don't mind them confronting him again. I think it could have been via Zoom, like Laura. It could have been via Zoom, or hey, he couldn't even been there. But I felt like they used this moment as a gotcha moment for Nick to give his speech about the importance of Love is Blind and not going on the show to for clout, which is fine as well. Like we all missed the first few seasons where it was like, oh my God, these people are actually genuinely looking for love. And now it's like we're lucky to get one marriage out of a season. You know what I mean? Like this is back-to-back seasons where we've had one couple get married. It's a big difference. I just don't feel like you need to humiliate Trevor. I'm not saying he's a great person, but that was very demoralizing and hard to watch and mentally. Like even I don't feel like there's a whole lot. I saw remorse when he talked to Chelsea. I do think that there was that remorse there because he even says to her and have had this conversation where he feels like he owes an explanation to her. However, it just felt so wrong. And I feel like they've already have a lot of ill will towards them for some of the off the screen lawsuits and craziness that's going around the show, the editing process. I felt like it was just ugly. And I don't feel like it was necessarily needed. I feel like you could get your point across without humiliating him the way that they did. What do you think about the situation?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I completely agree that it was a little bit like it was very messy. They might have pushed it too far. I kind of agree. Like if Laura can do a remote, like can remote in to the reunion, I don't see why like they had to like fly him all the way out there just to make a spectacle of him. Like I do agree with that, and like I do think like reading the text messages were like absolutely like embarrassing and like sloppy, humiliating. Like I didn't love that, I will admit. But a part of me was kind of like, this is the only like, is he can he not handle it mentally, or can he just not handle like facing the consequences of his actions?
For
So
sure.
I had a little bit of that going on, but like devil's advocate, I feel like he's gonna be fine. Like he's already filmed Perfect Match. He's gonna get his redemption arc. I'm sure they'll like, he won't be the villain forever. I feel like I feel like he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But I do I like get that he's probably experienced like more than enough hate for one person, and I don't think that they handled it with the care that they should have. But also, I do feel like we needed him to. I feel like the audience wanted to see some accountability
Mhm.
from him, at least in some way.
And you just pointed out something to me as well. Do you remember season 4? They did a sit down interview with Jackie and Josh. Remember, they weren't at the reunion.
Mm,
They did a Zoom interview with them. Why and give him that opportunity to lie, give him that whatever he's going to say. But don't, I just feel like it was weird to fly him to LA for 5 minutes on the
yeah.
stage.
Yeah, and actually, like they were insanely they made what's her face take zero accountability. Like they
Yeah.
literally were like, "Oh, I see. Look at y'all cuties all together with your new man. Looks like it's going great." Like Vanessa gave them like a the easiest time and like held them to nothing. And like I will say they made like a fool out of Trevor. So you're right. That is does seem kind of like a little bit of a double standard there.
And on top of it, it's kind of crazy. At the end of this same show, they announced Perfect Match Season 2 with Izzy and Micah in the crowd, and then also announced that Jess was going to be on the show, but they didn't say anything about Trevor, who is actually on the show as well. Now, I've heard he only has like a brief time on the show, but still, like, it's like the his ex revealed that he like went on one date or something. Like she spoiled and just was like, yeah, he went on one date on Perfect Match and that was it. It doesn't matter though. But like, would you be? I wouldn't be surprised if they edited him out of it if they really if it's only one date.
I don't know. I hope that like time heals things for Trevor. And once people get like some time to breathe and then Perfect Match comes on, like, I don't know, people will just kind of be laughing about it at that point and like, kind of give him like the just, I don't know,
Yeah.
the goofy, like, macho dude edit. I don't know. Like, I just feel like, yeah, if he's not going to be on for very long, maybe you're right. Maybe they'll edit him out. But I just hope maybe after like people simmer down from this season, they can give him a little bit more grace.
And also, I feel like we could maybe I think he needs to do an interview. Speaking of which, I mean, Trevor, watch this. I mean, we'll gladly interview you. You know, I mean, we can do it, and we won't grill you, but we will grill you, but we won't grill you. But no, I feel like maybe an interview would work for him. More of a sit down. I do think then we can probably dissect his level of empathy, I guess you could say, towards everything. But all right, let's move on to Clay and AD. They were next on our list. This was this was spicy because it felt like it felt like everything that Clay said, AD was just like rolling her eyes and just did not believe a word he said. I didn't like
I
it
mean,
was
can you blame?
oh
Like she thought she was getting married
yeah.
until like literally standing next to each other on an altar and he says no. Like I would be like have some healthy skepticism about anything that man said to me.
Yeah, because he's like, she's the love of my life, and I should have probably said yes or yeah, stuff like that. I'm like, bro, you fumbled the bag. Like, let's just be real.
Oh, she had like the moment that every girl dreams about, where like her ex is sitting right next to her. She looks like a 10 out of 10, amazing in the ball gown, and he's saying how he messed up, regrets it, love of my life, and she just gets to roll her eyes and be like, "Mm-hmm, yeah, you
I
done messed."
know.
Like that is the moment that like women fantasize about.
Yeah, that it was great. And I adore AD. So I love her and I love
Oh
that
yeah.
she got to have that moment. I will say this though. Um Clay talked about watching this season, and I think this was a strong moment. I do love that he complimented Brett, said that that was the season he was watching, and that's kind of the vibe. I love Brett. I love you don't always see like even in social media, even on videos you see of Brett, he doesn't really get super emotional. So to watch him kind of get emotional while he had that conversation with Clay, it was kind of a beautiful moment. Like he he didn't he didn't minimize how Clay felt. He understood how he felt, obviously being in those same shoes, and he didn't discredit what he went through. I just felt like it was a beautiful bonding moment between Brett and Clay, and Brett kind of being like a maybe like a bigger brother in the moment, and kind of telling him, "Hey, man, like it's gonna be okay, but you kind of also need to get your shit together," type of thing. But I thought it was a very strong moment between those two. But I mean, it is Brett, it is Tiffany. They are the best, so I love them.
Yeah, I'll say like that is the one moment of like the Love is Blind alumni that I enjoyed. The rest of it, I'm gonna be honest, couldn't give two shits. Like
Let's
I know that's mean, but that's how I feel.
we'll veer for just 1 second here. Okay. We have because most of what we go from here is a lot of the former cast people talking. Okay, let me explain. So I'm with you 100% here. And the thing about it is we can't talk about Chelsea and Jimmy. Now they do talk to Chelsea and Jimmy. We'll get to some of the things that they said, but where was the accountability for that relationship? Okay. Where was the like a full conversation? We saw them talk with Kenneth and Brittany. We saw them talk about it and they talk a little bit about what happened, but not really. I still don't know why the fuck they broke up.
We talked more about like Chelsea working as a casting like person for Love is Blind behind the scenes more than we talked about the actual couple on the stage. I couldn't give a shit like about like Chelsea getting to travel the world and help cast for Love is Blind. Couldn't give two shits. But like we don't know where like based off of the reunion, we don't know where Chelsea and Jimmy stand.
No, we had if you and you have to go to social media to like get all of why am I getting all of this information off social media? Like it really like the purpose of the reunion is to find out where everybody's going, what everybody's doing, and all of these things. And I'm like, what? We don't know. Again, we got a small montage of Tiffany and Amy and what their first year of being married. Like, who cares about the happy-go-luckies? Which again, let me point out here, the point of the show is what again? For you to find love and get married. But yet for we don't talk about finding love and getting married for the only people that found love and got married on the show. You know what I mean? Like they were on the show for like what 5 minutes? We got 30 minutes of Sarah and Laura, and I'm gonna probably dissect this, but like it was like 30 minutes on them, 10-minute block for Trevor, 5 minutes for Johnny and Amy, 0 minutes for Chelsea and Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, that is just crazy. I will say, like, I don't know, this might be controversial, but like I felt like it was a healthy dose of Johnny and Amy. Like I liked the amount of how like because people are kind of like wanting to know like where they are at now. And we get it. They're happy, they're in love. They did like the video of them like together, like living life, and I thought it was really sweet and cute, and I was like, oh great, they're wonderful, moving on, like moving on, give me the tea. But that's
I
me.
would I would love your thoughts on Jessica, on Jess being on the stage. I First off, I still find it I know why she's there. Obviously, they have another show to promote. That's the biggest reason why Jess is there. And then, of course, um, she gets in a little bit of a spat with Sarah Ann early on. But I did think that it was interesting when her and Jimmy kind of get into it because he had said she got the good at it, which I don't necessarily disagree with in a way. It's kind of true, but so did Jimmy. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But she's breaking like she was what Trevor should have been too. Like Jess is taking advantage of everything she's got from the show and running with it, which good for her,
Yeah,
100%. But like she is the one that's I hate to like I mean, and the more I think about it, it's like she's the one that's growing the most basically of anybody on the show, and it wasn't for finding love.
totally. I do feel like number one, she is not Trevor because she didn't come in with a boyfriend.
Well, no,
So
I didn't mean
that
it
right
like
there like puts
I
her
meant
a little.
like coming off of the I meant he like if you look on the show, Trevor was the God's gift to the world on after those first episodes.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah.
what I meant by that, not by
Yeah, I do feel like that was the big love triangle though, and like they did give her a pretty messy scene when she was like, with Laura
so
and
bad.
like talking about how
So
like,
bad.
what's she gonna do when she sees him. Like so they didn't give her they gave her a great edit, I will say, but also like not a perfect. Like they made that was a pretty
It was
messy scene
messy.
right there.
Yeah.
So I still feel like it was I she's definitely like a crowd favorite. I'm not surprised they brought her on.
No.
But yeah, it makes sense that she might have been, have she had a dual reason with, promoting Perfect Match. When is
So
that coming on, by the way? I can't
summer.
wait.
Summer. I bet it probably. I would say what is this March? I'd say May or June. I believe it's going to be a May or June release for sure because I think this fall we'll have Love Is Blind season 7, which has already been filmed. So
Yeah. No,
um,
I think she was definitely like she knows what she's doing. She's playing the game.
she's smart.
Can't blame her. She is
No,
queen.
yeah, exactly,
We stand.
and worth it. I love it. I love her. She's great. Um, I did think it was funny. We did bring up the Chelsea sharing the secret. Um, So I find it funny here. Okay, so when Jess was on Nick Vile's podcast, she said that was 100% a deal breaker for her too. Like she said, Jimmy having, she knew, she read between the lines that him having a best friend that was a girl that he had previously had relationships with, it would have been a deal breaker for her too, which isn't brought up. Okay, nobody like this stuff's not. I felt like nobody came to Chelsea's rescue there because should she have shared it on the air? Probably not. Okay. However, I will defend her in saying that it was an issue. And when you're we've all been heated in the moment and say shit. The they could have edited it out.
Yeah. Well, and I like that we are kind of like differing on opinions on some things because it makes it fun. But like devil's advocate, not that I'm like I'm not team Jimmy in all of this in the like big picture, but if I put myself in his shoes and like I'm dating someone and I say, "Hey, here's a secret. Like, please, just whatever you do, don't tell. Look, don't say this in public. Don't say this on camera." And then you fucking say it on camera. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I am done with you. Like that would have been like
oh,
it would because that would have been like I specifically ask you not to. You betray me. Just so what? So like in front of a camera of all things. Like if they could have taken that like off camera if they wanted to. The fact that she like spilled it and I know this might not be how most people feel, but I that would have been like, I'm out. You like I this is the one thing I asked you to not say and you say it.
okay. Oh, I don't disagree she shouldn't have said it on camera. I don't think she should have. That was messed up. I also feel like they could have edited that out. If he would have been like, "Hey guys, can you edit that out?" They should have edited it out too. I will say that.
Maybe. But
But it's
why like
drama.
what I was gonna say, what advantage would like it wouldn't benefit the show if they
Oh,
edited out. Like that was such a juicy moment. And he knew like as soon as that came out of her mouth, he knew that that was gonna be like used against him and like he had to have that conversation with his friend and from the sounds of the reunion it sounds like it put like a real strain on that friendship and like again like if it's something that affected one of my closest relationships and like this person that I've only known for a couple of weeks like betrays me on national television I would be done with you.
yeah. I can see that
So
100%. Yeah.
and that might just be like my like I don't know that might say something about me but
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you that the secret coming out is the hard part, but I do feel like it's yeah, it's
But, like, we love Chelsea, and, like, she's so sorry,
yes.
she apologized and apologized, and she's so, so remorseful, so I'm not saying, like, harping on this
No,
because,
no,
like
no, 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 no. I know what you're saying.
but I can see why it might have led to his decision to, like, not even wanna go to the altar
For
or
sure.
like, been a factor in all of it.
One thing I did find interesting was when they asked the cat. I'm kind of bouncing up a little bit, bouncing up and down a little bit, but when they asked the cast what it was like watching it back, AD said it was very hard to see Chelsea because she's fun and carefree and bubbly, and like we saw the insecurities highlighted on like a level 50 on a scale of 1 to 10. And I love, and this is another moment where it was like okay, like AD is kind of like the girl's girl. She's defending she did it with with Sarah Ann. She gave Sarah Ann the business, you know what I mean?
It was beautiful.
And I found this media. I just found that again, go AD. Like we talked, but I felt like it was a beautiful moment because I don't feel like anybody else has really stood up for Chelsea, and we didn't even really get a moment to really kind of stand up for her because there's a lot of things that happened that we didn't see, stuff that I can't talk about because it was told to me in preview, but I feel like we didn't get to unpack Jimmy and Chelsea in a way like I really wanted to. You know what I mean? Like they didn't even really, outside of asking the question about sharing the secret. I think that's
Yeah.
really
Their whole relationship got the shaft on this show. Like, I'm just being real. It was like they really did not highlight many good moments between them. It sounds like they actually, from what I've heard from other interviews, it sounds like they've had reasons for being in love, and they had some beautiful moments that the show never showed and never got captured. And
yeah.
so like I just feel like I'd be pissed if I was like, not only did they not like only show the bad times on the show, like no highlights of them whatsoever, but then like completely like ignore them for the majority of the reunion. I'd be so mad.
I know. And it's like they were one of the final three couples. You know what I mean? Like one of the final three couples that was left from the season. It was
And they
I
were the
don't
most
know.
interesting couple, like straight out of the pods, like their love triangle, and like they carried that show on their backs for like the first few episodes, and then, things changed, I guess, but still, I just feel like they did not get the credit that they deserved for everything.
No, I totally agree 100%. And speaking of not getting the answers that we wanted, we did talk to Brittany and Kenneth for about 3 seconds. We didn't really get a full answer of, I still think that something happened. I swear, because I did hear Jess did the interview on the Vol show and said that they had agreed during the day to that they were done. And however, the producers, which is kind of bullshit, producers said that they needed to have the conversation on camera. So they had to reenact what they had earlier in the day to make it on TV, which bullshit, whatever. But we really still don't talk about why they broke up. Kenneth did talk about his phone, talked about how he got back and he had to reconnect with his kids and his family. And I kind of felt bad in a way because I'm like, we kind of made fun of everybody kind of made fun of how often he was in his phone. And he still probably was. Like, I feel like that's the only time they felt like they filmed him was when the guy was like this the entire time. But he talked about how he was gone from his kids and he's very close as a principal with his kids and his families and stuff like that, was reconnecting with them, so forth and so forth. However, these two have turned into like best friends. They talk to each other about everything. They've become really strong friends, which is cool as shit. I love that.
Mhm.
What was your thoughts on this entire thing, and were you wanting more from them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in one perspective, like I don't know. I wasn't like dying to know. It just like they were just like so, I don't know, not that interesting to begin with, in my opinion, that like I mean, I was surprised when they broke up, and I totally agree with you. I don't understand why, other than like they just had zero chemistry. There's some like theories out there as to why that is. But like I do think that their friendship is really beautiful, and like I think that they're like very protective of each other, and like it's like that's really cool to see. But yeah, like I don't know. They're another couple that like they're being really cryptic and teasy with their like social media presence, but then like on the platform where we did really want answers, we really didn't get any.
No, not at all. And it's yeah, I mean, we got nothing. And it's crazy again. I mean, they were my favorite couple coming out of the pods. Like they had an electric connection. It reminded me of the early stages of like Brett and Tiffany because they were so in sync. And then I don't know, then they broke
It
up.
literally like evaporated out of nowhere. And
Yeah. Um,
I don't know.
all right. So then, of course, they brought up Matthew, which he said they said he declined an invite. Matthew, I know he has posted several times. He hasn't posted a lot on his social media. I even think he made it private about the show and hasn't really talked about the show a whole lot. He did comment one time and say that he never walked out on somebody, which Amber backed up in an interview, or no, sorry, Sarah, yeah, yeah. I think it was, yeah, backed up in the interview and said that he never walked out on her. And then on top of that, said that there was a bad edit for him, which AD has come out in support of him, but then we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. But we did see the receipts of him telling Amber everything that he told AD. Um, we didn't really, I don't know if we really talked about the first episode, but I was very like pro Matthew, even though he's a little weird, pro Matthew for the first like 55 minutes of that show. Like I was kind of like intrigued by the idea of him and AD. And then of course, whenever we get the dramatic music of Sarah, of Amber breaking down that Matthew told everything detail by detail to AD to Amber as he did AD. I was like pro Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
then like, yeah, he's a weird dude, but
yeah, he definitely gave me the weirds, but we love quirky people. So it didn't bother me but like it definitely I didn't love how like I don't know, he was like addressing like how America will perceive him. Like I don't know, he
oh, that
like
was terrible. That was terrible.
I just listened to the Vile Files where like AD was talking to it was so interesting. Like he was extremely aware of the cameras at all times and like oh they're watching us now like oh look at they're probably gonna get this or pick up on that and like he just was like it was like taking away from the experience because he was so ultra aware all the time and like you saw that where on the show where he would like address it from here to there like I think I'm gonna get America's gonna see my point of whatever he was saying and like I don't know so I just didn't really connect with him so
No,
much.
after that, no, after that scene when he said all of America is going to be on his side, I was like, I'm still looking for what part of America he was talking about. What were your thoughts on AD saying she reconnected with Matthew in the real world, and then of course they went on a few dates together?
I'm s- it's like I'm shocked, but I'm not. Like I thought that was shocking, but I'm like AD, she is that red flag collector. Like she can't help herself. She's going to see what happens. She's gonna try, give it a try. And like I love that woman, but she just knows how to collect those red flags. And
Speaking
I'm not surprised that it didn't work out.
speaking of red flag collectors, did you see the interview with Jimmy today? Jimmy said
No.
that he complimented AD and said that maybe in the future that he'd be interested in having that conversation with her. I
Ugh.
mean, if she's collecting red flags from Love is Blind, I mean, he's only next on the list, right?
I was gonna say I would love to say like he wishes, but honestly, with her history, he might have a shot, and I just can't. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see here. Oh, I did find it funny. So obviously you talked for a second that they announced that Chelsea was casting for Love is Blind now. The Chelsea Kwame Chelsea
Call me
is
stuff. Yeah.
casting for Love is Blind now. Did you see that is her name Jessica, I think, that got married for season one, right? Um,
Was it Lauren and Cameron?
hold on. No, it was somebody had tweeted or somebody um
That
God,
got
man.
married?
Yeah, it was they had got maybe I don't remember. Maybe it was. I don't try to remember
Jessica was
who.
in. There was a Jessica in season one, but they did not get married.
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. Somebody said something and tweeted out that they blamed they blamed Chelsea for the casting this year, and Tiffany had to jump in the comments and was like, "No, she didn't start doing the casting process until season 8." It was hilarious, just back and forth banter on social media this morning. Um, let's see here. Chelsea addresses in an interview after the show, not on the show, because we weren't privy to that information, that her and Jimmy tried to date for a couple days after the show, but then ultimately it didn't work. Would have been cool to really see that on the reunion. Um, also, did we have to like talk? Like we talked to obviously everybody, but I still the girl from season one that was pregnant. First off, congratulations, we're happy for you. But why were they even there?
Oh, yeah, don't even get me started. Like that reunion either could have been like 60 minutes and we would have gotten like 37 minutes of our life back, or they could have like done the full thing and like taken that out and put in like a little bit more for the people who were actually on stage, like Chelsea, Jimmy, Brittany, Kenneth.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty insane. I mean, and I feel like a lot of it was like obviously when they announced Perfect Match season two. I'm excited because Perfect Match season two. I don't. Do you have you seen the rumored cast for Perfect Match season two?
Not other than the ones we know now. Micah, Jessica,
I actually have you a
Izzy.
list here. Let's see here. I don't know how deep you are into Love is Blind or the Netflix reality world, but obviously I'm sure you know who Harry Josie is. Josie.
Oh yeah. Gauzy.
Steven Ditter, Nigel Jones, all from Too Hot to Handle. Jake Cunningham from The Ultimatum, Marry Me or Move On from season one. Let's see, I'm trying to. Byron, Brighton from Squid Games is on there. Justin from Surviving Paradise. Trevor. Cole's reportedly on there, but I don't think he is. I think that's not true.
No,
Um,
I'd flip out.
in a good or bad way.
Oh, I like him.
Okay, all right, sweet. All right, cool. All right, we're good. We're back. We're back. I was very scared because
Okay.
I love Cole. Cole's my dude. Like Cole's my
Oh no, no,
buddy.
no. We're
Okay.
Team Cole.
Okay. All right. Sweet. I just wanted to make sure. Elise from Too Hot to Handle. Christine from Too Hot to Handle season five. Let's see here. Jessica, obviously Jessica from Love is Tolu from The Trust is on there. Micah. But yeah, there's like a whole lot of people. I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see. I've heard some stuff about the show. I can't wait to watch it. All right, before we go, Mackenzie, I want your parting thoughts, positive, negative. What did you think of the overall show? What could they have done better?
Oh, well, I think we talked about a lot of what they could have done better. I would say my rose is like I felt like we got to know uh like Johnny and Amy's love story a little bit. Like I liked the package that they did with them, and I'm glad to hear that he is starting to figure out how to, not have a baby. I'm glad he's like figuring out the whole contraceptive like world. I'm glad he didn't get a
Yeah.
vasectomy. So I'll say that's my rose. Johnny didn't get a vasectomy and Amy's not on birth control and they figured it out somehow. And like what could they have done better? I think we talked about it. Like I just did not like the flow of like having the alumni asking a bunch of the questions and like getting like their whole life story. We could have spent a lot of less time on that and a lot more time on like the people who are actually on stage like that we want updates from.
And I think one thing you could have even changed was even if you spent the first hour with the people that were on the show and then allowed the people in the audience to ask us questions, the back half of the show, maybe that would have been a little bit better. You still could have done without them. I still think you could have done without them, period. But something would have been better what they did because they like would interrupt mid, conversation about the current cast to talk about, these people, and then they would ask asking questions was weird as shit too. I didn't love that. My favorite parts of the episode, obviously, I really love the conversation between Brett and Clay. I thought that was a very much a highlight. Obviously, Johnny and Amy's montage, I thought it was beautiful. I loved being able to see. I love seeing them in the real world. I can't wait for after the altar because I feel like they have such a beautiful connection. And her dad is like he needs his own show just because I just would love to watch him talk for like hours upon hours. Like he just is he's charming and delightful. But I can't wait to see after the altar because obviously when we follow them, whatever's like 6 months or whatever from now, that should be definitely interesting. I would definitely rearrange this. I definitely think that next year we definitely need to get rid of this reunion aspect of having to bring all these people back. Like that just if you want to put a montage together of a where are they now thing and make it 5 minutes long and you get, oh, hey, Brett and Tiffany are in Japan and they're together and they're stronger than ever. Oh, Zach and Bliss, she had her baby. And then Alexa and Cowboy Dude, they had their baby. And I always forget his
Oh my
name.
gosh. Oh yeah, we spent more time on Zach and Bliss's like bridal or baby shower. Like
Yeah.
that would be my other thing I would change. I would just like honestly not have Nick and Vanessa hosting it. Just real talk.
I
Just
agree.
being
And I think this would be like let them host the show. I think that, but like bring in a Lauren and Cameron to host a reunion. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was cool because like the Traders did that this year. Like I thought it would have been cool for him to host the reunion, but Andy hosted the reunion. Like do something like that. Have them host the show, which I wish they would get rid of them as hosts too. But that let them serve that purpose, and then bring like a Lauren and Cameron in to host the reunion. I think that would be cool. Or Brett and Tiffany, or have it different. Have the couples that have actually lasted, that have been in those shoes and can ask those conversations, and let them host the reunions instead of the
Yeah.
Lachey's. And plus side, every time they talk about babies now, I love that Nick is the person talking about the babies just because of how crazy like Vanessa has gotten over the years about the baby talk. So it's always funny that Nick leads that conversation now. It's so great to me.
And you know what I thought was really funny that I'm just now pointing out, not to go down, not to, keep things going, but like there was so much food on this season. Like the random buffets everywhere. You can just tell that they're trying to make a point.
What was the point of having a buffet on the table in front of them to sit there that entire time?
Gosh. And like when Johnny and Amy were like meeting with her dad, like there was like this big spread of like charcuterie. And I'm like,
Or on the
guys,
wedding days, you have like massive.
you can tell that they're in the thick of it with that lawsuit.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's hilarious to me. It's funny because like, and I love how you'll see some of the people walk into pods with like things of Pringles on there. They're like, hey, make sure to grab that on the way in there. You know what I mean? Or they're like, they have lunch dates more than they have ever had before, you know?
Hilarious. I just found that so funny.
Yeah, it was so weird because all that food was just sitting there for I mean, I would assume they probably filmed for maybe 2.5 hours because it's, edited down to an hour 30 there. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's it for this week's episode of the Love and Reality Podcast. Makenzie, thank you for joining me. You will be hearing more of her in the future as we dive more into the world of reality TV. There's lots of shows coming. I'm not sure exactly where we'll zig and zag in that process, but maybe we'll kind of adapt a recap process of what I'm watching, what she's watching, and what the world's watching, and any fun breaking news in between there. So thank you, Makenzie, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Later.